Welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you all here in the council chamber. We are going to continue with our afternoon session with a recognition, a proclamation recognizing Caribbean American Heritage Month, and that will be led by our first Caribbean American council member, Councilmember Sales.
Thank you, President Glass, and good afternoon. Happy Caribbean American Heritage Month, everyone, and thank you to everyone that joined us this afternoon for our luncheon as well. I cannot express how much it means to me to be here with you all to celebrate one of our nation's most exciting cultures. Every one of you here today, you know, it's very fitting that back to back, we're going to not only recognize Caribbean American Heritage Month, but also Juneteenth, which will be organized by Councilmember Jawando. This is truly Black excellence at its finest. As the first Caribbean American elected in Montgomery County, it gives me great pride to be able to represent my heritage in this position on the council. I'm a first-generation Jamaican American, born and raised in Maryland, the youngest of 6 children born to Jamaican immigrants, and public servants who dedicated their lives to their country and community and inspired my commitment to our community. I would like to thank all the community leaders who are present for this special occasion. I particularly appreciate the work of the Caribbean American Advisory Group and the Office of Community Partnerships. These groups play an integral role in bringing Caribbean culture to our county and helping the Caribbean community thrive. Today's event does not happen without their guidance, their assistance, and support. It is monumental that at the state level, we have a governor in Westmore who has Jamaican roots. We have an Attorney General, Anthony Brown, whose father was born in Jamaica. Also, the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, Delegate Wilkins, was born in Jamaica. The Caribbean consists of 13 sovereign countries and many different cultures, languages, and ethnicities. However, it makes me particularly proud to see people from my county joining me in representing my heritage, represented in the highest ranks of power. Caribbean Americans contribute so much to our county's diversity, economic development, education, and culture, and so much more. I hope that during Caribbean American Heritage Month, we can all appreciate everything that we have to offer and recognize our success on a national and local level. Once again, thank you all so much for coming. Before we read the proclamation, I would like to call up our speakers to share a few brief remarks. Former Ambassador of Jamaica to the United Nations, Curtis Ward. Chair of the Caribbean Advisory Group, Venice Mundell Harvey, and our County Executive, Mark Elrich. Come on up. And we also have Delegate Wilkins, Chief of Staff Isabella, who will read a proclamation in addition to the council proclamation. Also, Governor Moore will be sending a proclamation to acknowledge this historic moment. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Council Member Lorian Sears, thank you so much for having this recognition to mark Caribbean heritage in Maryland. And I thank the council for hosting us. And I also thank our county executive who is here with us. I just want to say I can claim Montgomery County as home, like many other members of the Caribbean community can. My wife and I moved into Montgomery County, hold your breath folks, in 1976. We have 3 grown adult children who attended public schools in Maryland, in Montgomery County. It's a great county, and I would want to live nowhere else except Jamaica at this point in time. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for recognizing our heritage, for celebrating with us. And Council Member, as you quite notably recognized during the lunch, so many different members of the Caribbean community here with us. You mentioned 13 sovereign states. And I must say that today and yesterday, there's a conference in Jamaica to bring peace and stability and hopefully prosperity to the largest Caribbean state, Haiti. And our liaison with the county executive, as you know, is from Haiti. And I just wanted to raise that because we are all keeping our fingers crossed. We're all praying for Haiti today. And again, thank you for recognizing our heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, former Ambassador Curtis Ward. Now we will hear from the chair of the Caribbean Advisory Group, Venice Mundell-Harvey.
Good evening. It is so great to be in this moment. I am Venice Mundell-Harvey, co-chair of the Caribbean American Advisory Group. Several of the members of the advisory group is here this afternoon, and thank you. And my co-chair, Darice Dean, is here as well. It is great to be here today in this celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. I want to thank the County Councilwoman, Lori-Ann Sales, and the County Council and the County Executive for bringing the Caribbean community to the Council building for this proclamation. It was in June of 2006 that President George W. Bush proclaimed June as Caribbean American Heritage Month. With this, for the last 17 years, we have celebrated the rich culture of the Caribbean region. We celebrate the dreams, the contributions, dedication, and all that the Caribbean people have contributed to the United States of America, especially here in Montgomery County. Many of us have raised our children here. We operate successful businesses. We are elected officials. We are governor. We volunteer. We own homes. And we are good citizens of this county. However, we will not overlook those who need our support and will continue to work on their behalf. For today and the rest of June, we celebrate our culture, our heritage, our accomplishments, and contributions. Today in this space, I celebrate Councilwoman Lori-Ann Sales, the first Caribbean and may I say woman, to be elected to Montgomery County Council. We have so much left to accomplish, but today and this month, we celebrate. We are thrilled to come together as a community to honor and celebrate the rich culture and heritage of the Caribbean diaspora. This month-long celebration is a time to recognize and appreciate the contributions of Caribbean Americans to the fabric of our society, for their vibrant music, art, and cuisine, which we just enjoy, to their strong spirit of resilience. Thank you to the county and the county council and the county executive for marking this moment with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now we will hear from our county executive before we read the proclamation. Thank you.
So thank you very much, and it's really nice to be here, and there's a lot of Caribbean stuff happening this week. I was at a festival in Silver Spring a couple of days ago with lots of music and lots of food. We have this event today, and tonight we'll be across the street in the Executive Office building doing a celebration for the Caribbean community. So it's an important time for everybody, and we're part of the celebration. I just want to thank everyone for the role they play in Montgomery County, the participation in community life, the participation in businesses, all the work you do in Montgomery County. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it's really, really important. I grew up with, one Caribbean figure that I got to know through my parents, and that was the singer and actor Harry Belafonte. And Harry Belafonte wasn't just a singer and actor. He was a political activist, and he was a progressive. And he fought on the side of justice. And he came through in the 50s with a hit that soared to the top of the charts, and it was one of those breakthroughs when an African American artist made it to the top of a chart and got recognized widely within the establishment. And it was one of those moments when somebody was able to break through the wall that had kept people out for too long a period of time. And Belafonte continued until his death, working for people in the Caribbean and working for people around the world to give them better lives. And so he's just a stunning example of somebody from the Afro-Caribbean community who played an astounding role, not just in the arts, but in American society and culture. And I think it's appropriate that we remember him when we talk about having Caribbean festivals and Caribbean American Day. This is a big deal because he was a big deal in his time. So I just wanted to add that acknowledgement, and I encourage everybody to be the Harry Belafontes of your generation. Stand up, speak out, and ask for what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive Elrich. And I will just quickly read the citation from the Maryland General Assembly official citation. Be it hereby known to all that sincerest congratulations are offered to the Honorable Lorianne Sales, Council Member at Large, and the entire Montgomery County Caribbean community in recognition of Caribbean Heritage Month 2023 and your rich and deep contributions to the state of Maryland, presented on this 13th day of June by Delegate Janelle Wilkins of Montgomery County Legislative District 20.
Okay. How far are you to go?
Here, you just got
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Proclamation from Montgomery County, Maryland. Whereas during Caribbean American Heritage Month, over 5 million Americans proudly share their Caribbean heritage, especially promoting and celebrating Caribbean-style events. We celebrate the contributions that Caribbean Americans have made to the fabric of our nation. We pay tribute to the culture and bonds of friendship that unite the United States and the Caribbean countries through our common values and our shared history. And
whereas our nation has thrived as a county of immigrants, and we are more vibrant and hopeful because of the talent, faith, and values of Caribbean Americans, they've enriched our society and added to the strength of America. And
whereas the Caribbean American community has provided leaders in government, sports, entertainment, in the arts, and many other fields of outstanding accomplishments in the United States in general and in Montgomery County in particular.
now therefore be it resolved, Mark Elrich as County Executive and Lorianne Sales as Council Member of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 as Caribbean Heritage Month in Montgomery County, and we encourage all our residents to join us in recognizing the outstanding contributions of Caribbean Americans, signed the first day of June 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Sales and guests, for that proclamation and recognition. And now we'll have a second proclamation this afternoon, and this will be a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth, and that will be led by Councilmember Jawando.
So anyone here who's here for Juneteenth, please come on down. There is no door prize, but there is a proclamation. $1. Yeah, it's the lowest bid, right? All right. So as Councilmember Sales mentioned, this is so appropriate that we're celebrating both of these months and occasions together. This is kind of the unofficial kickoff to what's going to be a long week of activities, not only here in Montgomery County, but across our country to commemorate Juneteenth. And we have a number of individuals who I'm going to introduce. We're going to hear from one, but I want to introduce everyone. We have Jim Stowe, our Director of Office of Human Rights. We have Elijah Wheeler, who's the chair of our African American Advisory Group, who I see, who's always hiding. We have Jason Green, who's the chair of our Commission on Remembrance and Reconciliation. Let's see Jason. Anita Powell, the president of the Lincoln Park Historical Foundation. Cherie Branson, former Councilman Branson, who's the third vice president of the Montgomery County NAACP. Harriet Shangari, who is, and Fatmata Berry, and several others from the African Affairs Advisory Group. I think I saw Moomin and Mona. Is he Mona May and Vice Chair? Yes, where's Mona? Oh, there. Okay, hello. And then we have, is Mark? Did I see Mark? Where's Mark? Mark. There's Mark. Mark Thorne. No, the other Mark. Mark Elrich, our county executive, and Mark Thorne, who is the historic site manager at the Montgomery Parks and manages the Josiah Henson Museum and Park. And if you haven't been there, make sure you check that out. And we were going to have Professor Sylvia Hollis, who's a professor at Montgomery College, who is of African American history, but she had family issues, so couldn't be here. So Juneteenth. So welcome everybody. I'm going to read something that doesn't get read a lot because I think it's important. This Juneteenth. What Juneteenth is a commemoration. June 19th. It's now a federal holiday this is our third year. Took a while, but we got there. It has been celebrated for hundreds of years by African American communities as our second Independence Day. And you'll hear more about that. And it formally commemorates the day that U.S. General Gordon Granger came before a crowd in Texas to read the general order that had been implemented by President Lincoln to officially and legally free all enslaved peoples. And I want to read just a portion of it because I think it's important to what we're celebrating. The quote, "The people are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States," and I'm going to use the word slaves, but people are not slaves, people are enslaved. But this is what the language said. "All slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them become that between employer and hired labor. The freed are advised to remain at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere." End quote. I think a lot of times when we tell the story of Juneteenth, we tell the celebratory part of it. We forget the part that said that enforced and created a system of bondage in another name. And so it reminds us of kind of the duality of being American, that we make progress and we take steps forward, but we still have so much to do. In fact, we are in a modern abolition of slavery movement right now, where 7 states have formally abolished slavery. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery except in the incidents of servitude. We have over 30,000 people incarcerated in the state of Maryland. 70% of them are African American, and many of them are working for less than $1 a day to produce things for institutions across this state. We are part of a movement even today to realize the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. So we are commemorating. It's going to be fun this week, and we're going to hear from shortly some of our folks from the Scotland community who are forming one of the most exciting and fun Juneteenth celebrations that we have this year. We will also have our county celebration up in Germantown at Black Rock, so there's going to be a lot going on. But I want to invite and thank Letitia Gassaway for coming here and presenting and talking a little bit about Scotland, since this will be kind of a new thing for our county.
Good afternoon. As Councilmember just said, it's Freedom Day. Break them chains. Use your voice. Use the voice that we have that once we weren't allowed to use. We're making sure that we represent our ancestors well. We are their wildest dreams. This year for Juneteenth, it's trying to be one of the longest running in the DMV, events in the DMV for Juneteenth this year. We are starting from June 17th and we are going all the way to June 19th. It all goes down. June 17th, we have so many different events. We go from the Bethesda Blues and Jazz Club. We also have health and wellness. We have the county participating. We have the village. We have Cabin John Parks. We have Cabin John Village. Just several events happening. We also have, talking about Caribbean, we have Wyclef Jean coming this year. We have Torres Valley. You know, we have Patrice Roberts, Ricardo Drew. We have we have Egyptian. Yes, we have Egyptian. We have so many different events happening just this year, and we just want to encourage everyone to come fellowship with us, because that's what Juneteenth is. It's about feasting. It's about fellowship. It's about faith. We are the rock that we stand on. All right? We are just that. So we want to make sure that we represent and we praise God. It's Freedom Day.
County Executive Elrich, you want to make any comments? Then we'll read the proclamation.
So the end of slavery couldn't have come soon enough, but I think it's worthwhile noting that when the president then issued the Emancipation Proclamation, all the people who were slaves in the states that the Union controlled remained slaves. The only people he freed were the people he couldn't free. And he gave those states 6 months to come back to the Union. And if they come back to the Union, he was not going to move against slavery. So we have a complicated history with this. And it's not like we started a war, got into a war with the purpose of ending this evil institution. It came about in the course of the war, but it's important to get a context on it, because it is important to understand even the limits of Lincoln and his thinking about what freedom should have meant in the United States. What I'm really happy about now is, until the last couple of years, Juneteenth was almost invisible here, largely. And when you look at the events being planned for the weekend, there are a lot of events being planned all over the county, and it is actually getting the status and the recognition that it should get. And I'm really happy that that's coming about, and I look forward to doing more in the coming years. This is just the start of what we should be doing with this holiday. Thank you.
Director Stowe, 30 seconds on your events. Literally 30 seconds. Maybe a minute.
Baptist preacher, 30 seconds. Come on. All right, wait. We are, first of all, excited about this, but one thing I guess I want to say real quickly, too, is that when Granger reached this General Order number 3, there was not immediate excitement. A person, first of all, didn't know what he was talking about. What does free mean? After years and years and decades of bondage. And so until we free the mind, M-I-N-D, are people truly free. And so we hope then through Juneteenth that we begin to help us again free our minds, and your minds out there, by the way, about the importance of all of our contributions to making this country the country that is, and more importantly, the country that can be. It is forming the more perfect union. It's critically important for us. And so we hope then that you come out and be a part of all these marvelous events that are going on Saturday, and you're going to hear it first. I'm going to now announce to you persons who have been chosen by our county executive as our African American living legends. These are persons to whom in our community have been named. One of them is sitting here before us right now with the ambassador here. Thank you. Good to see you again, sir. But these are persons who've given their life contribution throughout their years here in Montgomery County. And they had to be at least 75 years young to be part of this profession. Listen, now let me tell you why I'm doing that, right? We don't have an opportunity in this community, again, to acknowledge and appreciate our elders, right? If you don't care about the young within your society and the older person within your society, society is doomed. And so we believe that it's important to recognize our elders in this part of this process. So this year's recipients are Mr. Henry Hellstock, the Reverend Teresa M. Henderson, Miss Pauline Johnson, Miss Sheila Ogilvie, Vernon Ricks Jr., and Dr. Shelton Ivan Ware, who just turned 100 this year. So we're excited about that person being named. So let's give a round of applause in their absence. Lastly, and Councilmember Joanna said that's actually 45.5 seconds, Jim. But anyway, so on the 16th, we'll be honoring these persons at Black Rock Center for the Arts on Friday the 16th. So please come out. This is an open event for the general public. We want to salute them not only through these kinds of ways by recognition, but also our presence. And so please come out on the 16th at 7 o'clock, Black Rock Center for the Arts, for our recognition of our African American living legends. And then on the 17th, join with our colleagues from Scotland and other places all across. Lincoln Park, as an example, has got a big thing going. Kensington has an event going on as well. A lot of activities going on. Also, we've got activities happening at Glen Echo Park, as an example. So a lot of things going on throughout the area. Please find a place to plug in. But on Saturday from noon until 6 p.m., will be activities going on at Black Rock Center for the Arts in Up County. We want to celebrate Up County, number one. But number two, the events going on start with all kinds of things going on to include. We have Black authors there. We're going to have also the spoken word. We're going to have also dance that will be going on. An outdoor stage to feature the Chuck Brown Band. We'll also be featuring a young lady who is really, really up and coming in the rap world. Her name is Sarak. Also, we'll be featuring again our own Marcus Johnson. And somebody for me, the classic voices of soul. The 60s and 70s is what I'm talking about. So at any rate, something for everybody throughout the day. We even got a children's section that'll be primary for that purpose. So anyway, you see that there'll be something. And by the way, let me say it before I sit down, I'll go back to my position here. It is free. Thank you, County Council. Thank you again, Mark Elridge. It is free for the public. So come out and be a part of it. Thank you.
All right, let's free ourselves. Here we go. The County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland. Whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, becoming a federal holiday after the dedicated efforts of Miss Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. At 89, Miss Lee walked from her home in Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. to deliver 1.5 million signatures to Congress, calling on lawmakers to make June 19th a national holiday. Her efforts led to the legislation being passed and signed by President Biden in 2021. And whereas the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Abraham Lincoln 160 years ago in 1863 legally freed enslaved individuals in the Confederacy that were not yet under Union control. Many enslavers, including those in Montgomery County, continued to hold on to free men, women, and children captive for years after the announcement. In 1860, Montgomery County had a population of 18,322, including some 5,500 enslaved and 1,500 free blacks. Maryland would remain a slave-holding state until the Maryland Constitution of 1864 outlawed slavery on November 1st, 1864. And whereas General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865, and announced the end of the Civil War and the end of slavery. There were still 250,000 enslaved people in Texas at that time. That day became known as Juneteenth, a symbolic date representing African American freedom in the United States, even though it was not until the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolished slavery, and we talked about we're not done with that, in the U.S. on December 6, 1865. And finally, whereas slavery and the white supremacist mindset that fueled it set the foundation for hundreds of years of systemic and institutional racism with devastating consequences to Black, Indigenous, and people of color in the United States. And while Juneteenth is a celebration of freedom, it also highlights the injustices that were suffered and are still felt to this day. Now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby commemorates and celebrates Juneteenth, and be it further resolved that the County Council recognizes the full history of the United States and its people for the betterment of our society and encourages all county residents to do the same. Presented on this day, the 13th of June in the year 2023, signed by myself and the Council President on behalf of all council members. Happy Juneteenth, y'all.
Because they didn't, yeah. Where are we? Let me see where we are. Okay, thank you very much, Councilmember Jawando. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for Juneteenth, celebration of. And as was noted, there are a number of celebrations taking place over the course of this weekend. So I hope we see you, whether it's at Black Rock, Glen Echo, in Kensington, Scotland, or somewhere else in the DMV. We will be there celebrating freedom. So we have a number of public hearings that we are going to get underway. The first is a public hearing on Bill 2523, Taxation, Development Impact Taxes for Transportation and Public School Improvement Amendments. This bill would modify the calculations for tax rate adjustments for transportation improvements by requiring cumulative increase or decrease in the construction cost index rather than an annual average every 2 years. Set up a cap on development impact tax rate for school and transportation improvements, allow certain carryover increases of a biennial tax rate adjustment, and generally amend the law governing transportation and school development impact taxes. A Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee meeting is scheduled for June 15th. Those wishing to submit testimony for the Council's consideration must do so before the close of business today, June 13th. There are 3 people who are signed up to testify, so I'd invite Jason Sartori, George Carlisle III, and Laura Stewart to join us at the table. Okay. We will start with Mr. Sartori, who is also going to be speaking on two other items, item number 9 and item number 10. So you'll have 5 minutes, sir.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Council President Glass, members of the County Council. My name is Jason Sartori. I'm Chief of the Countywide Planning and Policy Division at the Montgomery County Planning Department. And I'm here today testifying on behalf of the Planning Board on the impact tax bill, the resolution, impact tax resolution, and the short-term rental ZTA and bill. With regard to the impact tax bill and resolution, in general, the board supports efforts to mitigate sudden large increases in the impact taxes to provide better certainty for developers throughout the development process. For the transportation impact taxes, the Planning Board supports the correction to the calculation, switching from annual average to cumulative, as this is the correct way to apply an inflation factor. The board also supports the cap and carry approach for the transportation impact taxes, including setting the cap at the 20% increase. However, the board felt that the carryover should be used to ensure that the impact taxes eventually return to their true values. To that end, the board recommends banking a dollar amount as opposed to a percentage. By carrying over a percentage, the calculation overcompensates because the banked percentage is applied in the future updates to a higher base rate. So to avoid overshooting the true rate, impact tax rates, and overcharging future projects, the board recommended carrying over a dollar amount. For the school impact taxes, the Planning Board again supports the 20% cap, but the Planning Board does not support the carryover at all on the school side because the true value is calculated every time we update the impact tax rates, and therefore a carryover is not needed to return the impact tax rates to their true rate. In fact, banking the current excess beyond a 20% increase will lead to excessively high school impact tax rates in the future, and the board felt that it wasn't appropriate or fair to overcharge future projects to offset the discounts offered to current projects. Also, to ensure consistency with the changes to the transportation impact tax calculation, the board recommended introduction of a ZTA to make corresponding updates to how the Bethesda Park Impact Payment and Silver Spring Civic Improvement Fund rates are also calculated, and we sent that over for the Council's consideration. And finally, on the resolution, I wanted to suggest that the Council may want to also include in their resolution the updated rates for the school utilization premium payments. These are calculated based on the school impact taxes, and Section 52-59 of County Code required that the Department of Finance announce those updated rates on May 1st, which they did along with the updated school impact taxes. And so we would suggest that you include that in your resolution as well. With regard to Bill 2223 and ZTA 2304, the Planning Board voted 5-0 to recommend modifications to the bill and to not support the ZTA. In general, the board recommended not making it more restrictive to lessors or lessees to engage in short-term rentals. The board also thought that a clear explanation of the concerns faced by the executive branch would be helpful in better understanding the logic and the potential need for the proposed policy amendments. More specifically, the board did not support changes proposed in both the bill and the ZTA that would not allow owner-authorized residents to apply for a license. Essentially, it should be a landlord's prerogative to allow a tenant to sublet through a short-term rental license. Planning staff also wants to highlight current discrepancies between the zoning code in Chapter 59 and Chapter 54 with the licensing. The zoning code makes reference specifically to allowing owner-authorized residents, whereas the licensing code makes reference to allowing owner-authorized agents, and that might be part of kind of the confusion that is trying to be solved here. The board also did not support the proposed changes to the occupancy limits that would count children in the limit, since it would restrict larger families from being able to rent short-term rentals in the county. Finally, the board appreciates many of the technical elements of Bill 22-23, including the reassignment of enforcement to DHCA, the clarification of the license application process, and the changes to how residents can challenge applications, how license suspensions or revocations are reviewed, and generally how the appeals process is played out. We look forward to participating in upcoming committee work sessions on these pieces of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sartori. Is George Carlisle here? Okay. We will continue with Ms. Stewart.
Good afternoon, President Glass and council members. My name is Laura Stewart, and I'm testifying as the MCC-PTA CIP Chair on the expedited bill 2523 and the resolution. First, I would like to thank you for the passage of the recordation tax modification. Raising a tax, even when it is progressive and good for the county, is not an easy vote. I agree that expedited bill 2523 and the proposed resolutions are needed because the council should intervene when there are extraordinary swings in taxes year to year. This creates uncertainty and could depress economic growth in our county. Requiring a cumulative increase or decrease in the construction cost index rather than an annual average every 2 years is a fix that should move forward. I agree with Council Members Juando's memo that suggested a more moderate cap of 25% so that we result in fewer cuts in the school budget that was only passed a few weeks ago. I absolutely believe that capping is necessary for the near future, but I would prefer to wait to have a permanent fix in conjunction with the new growth and infrastructure policy. We need to look hard at the new generation rates of high-rise buildings because more families are looking at this option. The impact has also increased due to multiple inflationary pressures. Beyond supply in the post-COVID economy, using prevailing wages increased costs. Those costs are more than recovered by MCPS qualifying for more state dollars, but the overall cost going up affects the impact tax charged. Higher costs means that the opportunity zones, whose impacts are completely exempted, are costing the county even more as students are generated from those developments. We need to wait for the planning board to do the detailed job, thank you, of analyzing the market and to calculate how our overall plan to concentrate growth in denser neighborhoods affects schools and how we pay for the resulting costs. There is a direct conflict between paying for new seats for students and housing affordability. The MCPTA CIP committee is looking forward to working with the planning board and the county council in the discussions over the next year as to how we can balance conflicting pressures. Remember that the new impact tax laws could be implemented as soon as February 2025, 1.5 years from now. Let's fix the near-term problem with a 25% cap, but fix the long-term problem with a hard look at how we pay for the infrastructure that Montgomery County needs in order to attract businesses, the workers they need, and their families. Current residents will see the benefit if we deliver the spaces we all need to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. There are no other speakers for this hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Next is a public hearing on a resolution to amend development impacts tax rates for transportation and public schools. A Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee is scheduled for June 15th. Those wishing to submit testimony for the Council's consideration must do so before the close of business today, June 13th. There are no speakers for this public hearing, and this public hearing is now closed. Next is a public hearing on expedited bill 2623, Special Capital Improvement Projects, White Flint Fire Station 23. This bill would authorize the planning, design, and construction of the White Flint Station 23 project in North Bethesda, Garrett Park area. Action is scheduled for June 20th. Those wishing to submit testimony for the Council's consideration must do so before the close of business today, June 13th. There are no speakers for this public hearing, and this public hearing is now closed. Next is a public hearing on expedited bill 2723, Policing Advisory Commission repeal. This bill would repeal the law regarding the Policing Advisory Commission and generally amend the law regarding policing and law enforcement. A Public Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for June 26th. Those wishing to submit testimony for the Council's consideration must do so before the close of business, June 19th. We have 4 speakers for this item, and I'd like to invite Eric Sterling, Cherie Branson, Esther Wells, and Suwanti Folenstad to join us at the table. Okay, we'll start with Mr. Sterling. Your microphone. The button right there.
Thank you, President Glass and council members. I'm Eric Sterling. I'm chair of the PAC. I'm accompanied by Ty McKinney, our vice chair, a retired federal law enforcement officer, and Cherie Branson, who is our immediate past chair, who you all know. We oppose expedited Bill 2723. We are a key part of the county's community oversight of the Montgomery County Police Department. County Council recognized that many communities in the county want community oversight of the MCPD. 9 of us are appointed by you. 4 are appointed by the executive. We are highly committed volunteers. We don't cost the county any money. We spend hours in addition to our meetings in community outreach, research, and writing. We bring a broad range of backgrounds, but our current appointments do not include representation from Asian, Latino, and LGBTQ communities. Importantly, we have a youth representative who have been important contributors to our deliberations. Unlike the PAB, the Policing Accountability Board, we include ex officio the Chief of Police and a representative from the FOP. Their regular participation in our discussions is very important to our meetings. Unlike the PAB, which is trained by the state, we participate in the lengthy MCPD Citizens Academy. Thus, unlike the PAB, we get a detailed and comprehensive training in the programs of the MCPD. Since our initiation, we have submitted 8 reports to you on legislation. We've held 2 public forums on drug enforcement and on traffic enforcement. We've submitted numerous inquiries to the MCPD and had briefings with many experts. We're grateful that our member Jen Lynn from the Up County Community Resources, representing us, has been able to work more deeply on crisis response work groups, CAHOOTS training, and so forth. We want to stress that we provide an analytic capacity that supplements your OLO and that assists the MCPD. We've provided guidance to MCPD on their plans to obtain virtual reality training tools. We prepared an extensive independent report on traffic enforcement. To highlight one example, we're examining the procedures for MCPD review of video from body-worn cameras, and we were briefed by the MCPD team a year ago. With our expertise in program evaluation, we raised questions about the methodology and the randomization protocols. Last night, at our monthly meeting, as we discussed this matter, MCPD Captain Stacy Flynn said that the MCPD is now rewriting their policy, in part to reflect the concerns that we raised in that briefing. Such constructive impact on MCPD policy is the latest example of the value the PAC provides the county. We look forward to continuing to serve the county. We urge the withdrawal of expedited Bill 2723. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sterling. Ms. Branson.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Cherie Branson. I'm the 3rd Vice President for the Montgomery County NAACP, and I'm here today to speak to you in that capacity and to strongly suggest to you that this bill should be withdrawn, and if it's not withdrawn, it should be opposed. Repealing this bill, repealing the PAC, would indicate that this county no longer believes that ordinary residents should have the ability to voice concerns about law enforcement policy and practices. The NAACP joined with several other groups and worked with council members Reamer and Jawando to create the commission that is the PAC. The PAC was created to advise the county council, and for the NAACP, this is the culmination of a long and arduous effort to provide civilians a voice in law enforcement practices. Excuse me. After several months of meetings, the legislation creating this commission was introduced, passed, and signed into law. This council took those actions long before the national dialogue hit a fever pitch with the murder of George Floyd. This council acted because it understood that the community, especially racial minorities and other marginalized people who often feel targeted by law enforcement, should have a place to present their concerns without fear. That need has not disappeared. The state of Maryland also understood the need and created the Police Accountability Board. However, there are major distinctions between the PAC and the PAB. The PAB and ACC are empowered to hear, act upon, and review disciplinary matters that involve law enforcement officers. No one would doubt the importance of that work. The PAC, the PAC, reviews policies and practices to determine whether systemic problems adversely affect residents and indicate a need for reform. For instance, our work on traffic enforcement has plainly set forth the need to change policies so that traffic enforcement does not continue to adversely impact Black and brown males in this county. I'm going to skip to the last part because I'm running out of time. The PAC not only provides an appointee for each council member and the county executive, but our appointees are the most diverse in this county. We represent this county as far as racial, ethnic, gender, and geographic location because each of you get a pick. This makes us one of the most diverse bodies in this county. The need continues, and I urge you to refuse to repeal this organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Branson. Ms. Wells.
Yes. Good afternoon, Council President Glass, Vice President Friedson, lead sponsors Ludke and Katz, council members, staff, and community members. My name is Esther Wells, and I am here today to strongly urge you to support Bill 27-23, which would repeal the Policing Advisory Commission, PAC. Montgomery County Council was an early adopter to create the PAC in March 2020. Since then, the Maryland General Assembly enacted the Police Accountability Act in April 2021, which among other things mandated Montgomery County to create the Police Accountability Board, PAB, and Administrative Charging Committee, ACC, which currently exists, is staffed and fully functioning to do what PAC does and more. Repealing the 2020 Montgomery County PAC will not impact community members' right to make complaints, share their thoughts with the council, or erode police accountability. The PAC has served its purpose as local legislation and now has become obsolete as a redundancy of state mandates. Today, Montgomery County has the PAC, the PAB, and the ACC. The average resident couldn't tell you what each of those commission, boards, committees does, and may use these bodies interchangeably. We need to consolidate, streamline, and eliminate redundancies, which will free up council staff time and improve service to the community. I am pleased to see the various town halls scheduled and already held by council members on public safety that partnered with MCPD. Community engagement and law enforcement partnerships are the best and most effective solution to improving trust in public safety and police accountability. If we're being honest with ourselves, supporting Bill 27-23 to repeal the PAC will send a clear and powerful message to our brave men and women in law enforcement that we are focused on improving public safety, which will only be accomplished by partnering with them so we all can live, work, play, and worship safely in Montgomery County. Montgomery County just went through an extraordinarily difficult budget process, one that resulted in a tax increase at a time of economic headwinds, eroding tax base, likely recession, and structural deficit in the budget. One notable budget line item is the $20,000 sign-on bonus offered to MCPD candidates due in part to the defund police rhetoric coming from some PAC members and some council members here today. Your words and actions have consequences, and now taxpayers have to pay more in taxes to incentivize and recruit public safety officers to curb crime, reduce violence, and keep us safe and free to enjoy our community. I strongly urge you to support Bill 27-23, which will help to stop the bleeding and turn the corner on public safety in Montgomery County. Thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. And Susanti Fallingstein.
My name is Susanti Fallingstead, and I'm testifying on behalf of the Silver Spring Justice Coalition in opposition to the repeal of the Policing Advisory Commission. SSJC works to reduce the harms of policing while empowering communities. Critical to both these efforts is giving voice to those impacted by policing. It's important that the diverse communities that make up this county have as many opportunities to be heard as possible, and therefore we support having the PAC in addition to the Police Accountability Board to advise on matters of policing. The PAC was enacted specifically to advise the County Council. The members of the PAC are diverse and dedicated, and while we may not agree with their every decision, we think the Council can still benefit from their analysis and input. For example, the PAC's report on MCPD's discriminatory traffic enforcement is an important statistical and policy analysis with sound recommendations. The PAC has issued several other policy papers, and it has held several valuable community listening sessions. I want to address some misconceptions about the relationship between the PAC and PAB. First, there is no meaningful confusion about the PAB and PAC. They've operated concurrently for almost 12 months, and there's been no indication there's been confusion about their roles and responsibilities. To our knowledge, there have been no efforts to file complaints with PAC, and no one attends the PAC meetings thinking they're at the PAB or vice versa. Second, there's been no indication that the PAC's role of advising the Council is in conflict with the role of the PAB, which, as specified by state and county statute, is to advise the Council, the county executive, and our law enforcement agencies. If these entities provided conflicting advice on a particular issue, that would only make this Council's decision on that issue better informed, and is certainly not a reason to disband the PAC. Third, on more than one occasion, the PAC has complained that the Council has not been as receptive to their recommendations as it should be, and that the MCPD has too often been unresponsive to PAC's requests. These should not be reasons to disband the PAC. Instead, they should be reasons to improve communication and provide more support to the PAC in furthering their mission. Lastly, the PAB has been operating for less than a year. PAB. It would be premature for the Council to decide that it renders the PAC unnecessary. However, it is critically important that in considering this bill, the Council take no action to limit or constrain the scope of current or potential activities of the PAB. State law grants the PAB a broad mandate to advise on all matters of policing. We strongly oppose any efforts to limit the PAB's authority in order to justify the continuation of the PAC. Thank you for your consideration of our testimony.
Thank you for your testimony. Councilmember Sales has a comment.
Thank you. I just want to go on record to echo my deep opposition to this emergency legislation. I oppose this emergency legislation and want to stress that the Police Accountability Commission is responsible for police oversight measures. Passing this emergency legislation would signal to the community and our community volunteers that public safety is no longer an issue. When we just passed measures to increase incentives to bring more police into our community, to recruit and retain the best and the brightest. We are signaling to our community that transparency and accountability should be addressed in a vacuum, and the community has no place in shaping public safety to effectively oversee the dire need for community policing in our community. This would remove a way for the Council to get more input on the ground on effective police methods. I look forward to additional commentary and comments from our community as well, but appreciate the members that are currently on the board who have barely served and are just about to deliver their annual report to further ensure that we are delivering the best public safety environment for our residents here in our diverse community. So I implore my colleagues to support the full opposition of this legislation and to take time in ensuring that our residents have a role to play in community policing in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jawando, I think you have a question.
Yes, thank you. Chair Sterling, just I appreciate everyone's testimony. Obviously, this is an important bill for me as well, but was it a vote that was taken, or was it consensus in this testimony? Did every member agree that the PAC should continue?
There was a vote. There was a member who, for technical reasons, was unable to vote. So those who were able to vote, it was unanimous. But there was a member who was not able to either formally abstain or to vote in opposition.
Due to technical reasons. But of those representing everyone who voted to that they wanted to oppose this bill or have it withdrawn so that they could continue their important work.
That is correct.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. As noted earlier, there's a public safety committee scheduled for June 26th. Those wishing to submit further testimony on this item for the council's consideration should do so by June 19th. There are no additional speakers, and this public hearing is now closed. Thank you all very much for your testimony. Next is a public hearing on Bill 2223, Transient Lodging Facilities, Short-Term Residential Rental. This bill would assign enforcement responsibility to the Department of Health and Human Services for Article 2, hotels, and to the Department of Housing and Community Affairs for Article 3, bed and breakfasts and short-term residential rentals. Increase the maximum penalty for a violation of Article 3 of Chapter 54. Amend the application process for a bed and breakfast or a short-term residential rental license. Include license criteria and notice requirements. Clarify the process for challenging the application for bed and breakfast or short-term residential license, rental license. Clarify the process for suspending or revoking a bed and breakfast or short-term residential rental license. Clarify the process for appealing the director's decision on a bed and breakfast or short-term residential rental license to the Board of Appeals, and make any other stylistic changes. A joint planning, housing and parks, health and human services, and economic development committee work session will be scheduled at a later date. Those wishing to submit testimony for the council's consideration must do so before the close of business on June 22nd. We have a number of speakers. I'm going to invite the first four up. Ken Hartman, Vincent Frasilli, Sharon Wilder, and Rodrigo Villarreal. It's okay. If you don't mind just sitting back. Thank you. We'll start with Mr. Hartman.
Good afternoon, Council President and members of the Council. For the record, my name is Ken Hartman Espada. I'm Director of Strategic Partnerships in the Office of the County Executive. And thank you for this opportunity to testify on behalf of the County Executive regarding Bill 2223 and ZTA 2304. The County Executive also thanks Council President Glass for introducing this legislation. Just to set the stage, there are 158 short-term residential rentals licensed with Montgomery County, but we estimate that there are more than 1,200 in Montgomery County. Most short-term rentals operate without issues, and there are some who do not, creating serious community impacts and, in at least one case, potential threats to public safety. These cases have made us acutely aware of shortcomings in county law and prompted us to rethink licensing requirements and compliance. The legislation assigns the administration of short-term rental licensing from the Department of Health and Human Services to the Department of Housing and Community Affairs. While the HHS does tremendous work with limited resources, home rentals in residential areas are not the same as hotels. They are more akin to rental housing already managed by DHCA. This move allows us to utilize the expertise of our code enforcement and rental housing teams in inspections and compliance. Currently, the county relies on self-attestation to determine compliance, and compliance is entirely complaint-driven. Penalties when levied can be less than the cost of a single rental. The county receives 2 to 3 complaints per week, generally for unlicensed and reoccurring problem properties. The complaints fall into several categories. First is special events, when you have a family staying in a property and other family members or friends visit. These are not as impactful as what we've also seen, which are promoted ticketed events and parties with acute community impacts. We are addressing this by increasing the maximum penalty for violations and establishing a process for suspension and revocation of licenses that allow us to address issues more quickly than going through the court process. The overcrowding, the current total number of overnight guests who are 18 and older is limited to 6. This means you may have a limited number of people under the age of 6 or age of 18 in the property, and you may have 2 folks 18 and over in a room. This has led to conditions where we've seen overcrowding, with guests sleeping in areas of the home that lack adequate egress or life safety equipment. So this legislation allows no more than 6 guests total and no more than 2 per bedroom. The bill also requires smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. My seconds left. The legislation also requires that the applicant is the owner of the property as designated and listed on their SSTAT. Neighbors, the legislation requires written notice to neighbors and clarifies the process for challenging an application. And the legislation requires a point of contact and registry of guests to be kept and made available for inspections. Thank you again for listening to this testimony. We look forward to working with the PHP committee and econ committees in the upcoming work sessions. Thank you.
And the HHS committee too. Mr. Fralissi.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to briefly speak today. My name is Vincent Fralici, spelled F-R-I-L-L-I-C-I, and I'm the relatively new public policy manager for the state of Maryland for Airbnb. While I do not live in Montgomery County, I'm a 27-year resident of the District of Columbia. I spend most of my Saturdays at the baseball zone hitting balls with my 10-year-old son, so familiar with the area here. I come today to introduce myself as well as on behalf of the Airbnb hosts in Montgomery County and share our thoughts initially on Bill 2223. First, it's important to share the economics of how citizen-led tourism works when those utilize Airbnb. Montgomery County citizen hosts keep on average 90% of every stay at their home. Airbnb keeps on average 10%. And that's also after we collect and remit taxes, both Maryland state sales tax and Montgomery County 7% room rental and transient tax, which we've done for years on behalf of our guests and hosts. Montgomery County short-term rental activity is unique in the state of Maryland in 3 ways. The county has the largest percentage of hosts over 60 years old. 20% of your hosts are over 60. It's the largest of any county in the state. Montgomery County has the largest percentage of hosts in the state of Maryland who self-identify themselves as women. 62% of your hosts in Montgomery County are women. Lastly, the county has the longest average guest stay of any county in the state of Maryland. The average guest who stays at an Airbnb here stays 7.3 nights. And in fact, over 50% of the guests are staying between 11 and 30 nights. So these are long-term stays that people are utilizing. It's truly unique in the state. Regarding Bill 2223 and the accompanying zoning amendment, our primary concern is the bill's proposed new restrictions on tenants' rights and their ability to participate in citizen-led tourism. And I'll talk as fast as I can. I realize this is my first time, but time's running out. Tenants are a small but growing group of hosts in Montgomery County, but many American cities and counties allow tenants with the permission of the property owner to be a host. Baltimore County, Philadelphia, Boston, Atlanta, even San Francisco. We also believe that if the council's goal is to grow ADUs, the ADU STR activity should be allowed, like it was recently done in Anne Arundel County, if even limited. We look forward to being a part of the process in the months ahead, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Felici. Ms. Wilder. Right there.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here because this is my first time testifying, even though I've been really active in the county. So hi, I'm a little nervous too. So I'm Sharon Wilder, and I was born and raised in Montgomery County. Went to College Gardens, Bannockburn, Pyle, Whitman. My kids all went to school here. Graduated from Churchill, 4 sons and a special needs grandson. And I have to tell you that when I first heard about this bill, I was really concerned, because when I opened my short-term rental through Airbnb in 2020, the biggest driver of my success has been traveling nurses. And what I've found, I'm like one of the only folks in Bethesda, right? And so what we found is that I started during the pandemic. And so it was really difficult for these folks to find places to live or to stay while they were working here. There weren't a lot of safe lodging places. We had a shortage of nurses to have housing for. And I started hosting as a result of one of my aunt's colleagues who was traveling here as a nurse from Ohio to come work at Suburban. And I live 10 minutes from Suburban and NIH. And that's how I built how I was able to build our business. Our business has really been so helpful for us personally in that, one, my husband's retirement age, but he did not really build a great retirement portfolio, and it is really helping us to retire, age in place, and hopefully stay in the county where, you know, I expect to live throughout the rest of my life. In addition to that, it also contributes to, I think, the local economy, and that these nurses can have a safe place to stay. And I believe that I know that every one of you all support healthcare workers, and you support business growth in the county. And to put like these types of hinges on the ability of homeowners to make money out of their own properties is really harmful and not really in support of not only businesses, but also, for me, like, I'm a public sector employee. Some of you all know where I work. I won't say that here, but you know, I can't live the way that I'd like to live without additional resources, and I get that additional resources through being able to rent out my place. But in addition to that, you all in 2019 passed an accessory dwelling unit bill, and I thought that's actually one of the things, the impetus is for me even being able to start what I started, because I said, oh my gosh, they are like in support of accessory dwelling units. I don't actually have one, but now that I know I can build one if I needed to. So that was cool too. Anyway, so thank you for your time. I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Wilder. Good job. Thank you. And final testimony on this panel is Mr. Villarreal.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. President and members of the council. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. I'm here to oppose the regulatory bill 2223 and the zoning bill ZTA 2324. I'm not here on behalf of any organization. I'm not here representing any large corporation, any special interest group. Like yourself, I'm just a homeowner who's been exclusively allowing short-term rental in my home through Airbnb. Very proud of it. And I'm proud of myself in allowing people who otherwise would not like to spend some time at a hotel or are not willing or able to stay here for long term, for more than 6 months, for example. And I am someone who, like many other hosts, enable that gap of people who need to have some time, some period of time longer than just a few days to come here to the county. I live very close to NIH. Many of my guests are either postdoc scientists who just need to stay for a month or so. Some of them are patients whose research are extraordinarily important, and yet they wouldn't be able to stay somewhere else. I believe that not allowing a tenant who has had the previous permission of the property owner to host is unconscionable, because it is the property owner who's allowing that person to make additional money if he or she wants. But it's not just the income generated through this activity that is important. The reason I do it, in fact, because I've had a fairly successful career in technology before this, is for environmental reasons. My wife and I moved into Montgomery County in Bethesda about over 20 years ago, in 2001, with the hope to have kids, raise a family. We never had kids, but we have a house now that it perfectly can fit 2, maybe 5 people, and yet we have what is called an underutilized resource, which needs to be warmed in the winter, needs to be cool in the summer, whether I have 3 people or 2 people, right? So not allowing guests into my property for whatever reasons, even if I decide to have a long-term tenant and allow that person to utilize that resource whenever he or she is not occupying that space, again, for environmental reasons, makes no sense. So I'm not here on a radical agenda or, on a pro-business agenda. I'm just here on a common sense agenda that I hope you consider when you pass or refuse this legislation. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony. And that is it for this panel. Thank you. I'd like to invite the next 3 individuals up for in-person testimony. Christine Addy, Daniel Iwu, and Jacqueline Coolidge. Is Christine Ade here? Okay. Mr. Uwu, let's start with you. The button right in front of the microphone.
This one? Okay.
Try it. There you go.
Hello, my name is Daniel Iwu, and I've never done this before, so please bear with me. I have something actually planned due to the fact I hadn't done this before, so I wrote a speech for you guys, and it's been recorded. So after I play it, if I have extra time, I'll be able to discuss with you. But before I do that, I'd like you guys to understand that I used to be an IT professional. During COVID, I lost everything. I was saved by this current situation. And half was another reason why I was saved. So this bill it's going to be messing with my life and others. So please just take a moment and listen to this for me, please.
For you today as a concerned citizen, a resident, and a proud Airbnb host of Montgomery County. In the past 2 years, I have found not just a financial buffer in hosting on Airbnb, but a means to make a meaningful contribution to our county's vibrancy and diversity. Today, I wish to address the looming specter of Regulatory Bill 22 to 23 and Zoning Bill ZTA 2304, proposed legislations that aim to extinguish the entrepreneurial spirit of tenants like myself. These bills seek to prevent us from extending our hospitality, from opening our homes and hearts to guests from around the world, and from contributing to the economic health of our beloved county. Yet, the irony lies in the existence of the Economic Development Grant and Loan Program and the Tourism Development Fund. These grants, designed to spur business growth and stimulate tourism, are at odds with the stifling mandates of the proposed bills. We, the hosts, are the living embodiment of these grants. We are micro-entrepreneurs. We are ambassadors of tourism. We are the testament to the power and potential of these programs. It is high time we expose the harsh reality lurking behind these bills. Hotels and other business entities that profit from inflated rates are the sole beneficiaries of these restrictive legislations. They eagerly anticipate the moment when competition from Airbnb, a platform that enables common citizens to supplement their income, is choked out of existence. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Who is championing these bills? Who is pushing for legislation that threatens the livelihoods of the very people they swore to protect? To those individuals, I implore you to recall why you chose to enter public service. Was it to uphold the interests of big business or to protect and serve the people of Montgomery County? Remember, you took an oath to defend the rights of your constituents, to foster a community that thrives on diversity, and to uphold policies that support economic development and tourism. And yet, the proposed bills are in stark contradiction to these commitments. They aim to strangle entrepreneurial spirit, hinder tourism, and strip away a vital source of income from many residents. Esteemed council members, we stand at a crossroads today. We have the choice to uphold the spirit of the Economic Development Grant and Loan Program and the Tourism Development Fund. We can choose to reject these bills and protect the right to host, to promote entrepreneurial growth, and to bolster our tourism sector. Or, we can endorse these bills, but then we must face the contradiction of supporting grants that encourage the very activities we are seeking to curtail. Today, I implore you, as the pillars of our community, to consider the far-reaching implications of Regulatory Bill 22 to 23 and Zoning Bill ZTA 2304.
Almost there.
The passage of these bills would not only destabilize the lives of many residents, but it would also skew the balance of power and profit, favoring hotels and investors over the common people of Montgomery County. Remember, your loyalty lies not with the hotels, but with the residents of Montgomery County. Your duty is to foster a community where each resident has the freedom to engage in entrepreneurial activities, to contribute to the growth of the local economy, and to thrive in the face of economic...
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Thank you. You can submit that. You can even email that to us, and we can have that part of the record.
And it'll
that
actually
is a
be looked
first,
at.
so thank you very much. Ms. Coolidge, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Hello, I'm Jacqueline Coolidge. I'm a resident of Montgomery County for over 25 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on these bills regarding short-term residential rentals. I'm actually happy to see that the proposals would be tightening some of the restrictions on short-term rentals, such as Airbnb in Montgomery County. In particular, on top of my mind, I think what we need to keep in mind is the concern that it could incentivize investment in short-term rentals that could impinge upon the stock of other housing in the county, which has been a really serious problem for us. We've been trying to deal with it for many years now. We have seen how this is played out in other jurisdictions, such as San Francisco, most famously driving out affordable housing, and so I think we should be considering this as a risk here too. I'm very happy to see that there will be more meaningful opportunities for neighbors to object to proposed short-term rentals. I know most of them have been fine. The quiet people who are coming in need a place to stay for a short period of time, that's fine. But we have seen some occasions of some very loud parties and traffic associated with some of these short-term rentals. I'd like to remind everyone that here in Montgomery County, there are a lot of people who work from home and need to have some quiet in order to concentrate. We have other people who work a night shift and need to sleep during the day. There are the people with young children who need naps, or students who need a full night's sleep. The county has had a problem with being able to enforce the regulations that it has on the books. Staff in particular are generally not available on evenings or weekends. That means that neighbors have to call the police, but of course the police are also under-resourced and have bigger problems to worry about. That's part of the reason fines do need to be increased. They need to meaningfully deter infractions. The current fines are too easily absorbed, just as the cost of doing business. They've been stuck at the same level for quite a while, and there's been inflation. They need to be raised to actually discourage abuse. I'd also like to recommend that the county update its license fees. Best practice in public policy calls for license fees revenues to be able to cover the cost of administration and enforcement of the activities. I would also just like to consider a little thought in shifting the agencies. The housing sounds appropriate, but in my mind, this seems to be more like a hotel, and I'm also concerned with Airbnbs that have pools, and so I think that health and safety are the appropriate agencies with the skills to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, real quick, Ms. Coolidge, I see that you're also listed to speak on item number 10. Is it the same? Did you just?
I could add one more point.
Individuals who want to testify on more than one item get 5 minutes. So I give you 2 if that is in fact what the intention is.
Yes, it is. It's a separate point on the ZTA. So I agree with the people who have been commenting about the discrimination against people who rent their houses and have the authority from the property owners should be able to participate in the opportunity to do Airbnb rentals. But again, I am anxious about the threat of Airbnb and other rentals encroaching on what should be affordable regular housing for people who need it. So as an alternative, my recommendation would be actually to limit the number of days for Airbnb, maybe restrict it down to something closer to 1 or 2 months instead of 120 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for your testimony.
I wanted to
this
ask,
afternoon, sir.
just a quick question.
Sir, this is not a Q&A. You presented your testimony for more than 3 minutes.
I thought it was supposed to be for 2.
And we appreciate your time
Gotcha.
joining us. We now have a number of individuals who are joining us virtually. First is Andres Rodriguez. Andre Rodriguez. I'm being told that Andre Rodriguez is not online. Next is Lucas Wisaki.
That's Wysocki.
Wysocki.
Yes, I'm here.
There you go. Mr. Wysocki, my apologies.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the council and fellow citizens. My name is Lucas Wysocki. I've been a homeowner here for nearly 4 years. I'm testifying today in hopes that more careful consideration is made in Bill 2223 than in previous versions of the short-term rental laws, because I've borne the unintended consequences of the loopholes and end-arounds of the current law. The law was supposed to allow residents of the county and the county itself to generate revenue from short-term rental programs such as Airbnb, while avoiding the pitfalls that other communities have endured as a result of reckless governance of the same. In worst-case scenarios, these companies have allowed landlords and investors to devastate the housing market and sense of community in neighborhoods where they're allowed to operate. In December of 2021, the property neighboring my own was entirely converted to a complex of Airbnb rooms. Listing photos show beds in literally every room of the house except the kitchen and bathrooms. This property was unlicensed through the county, and were it not for the diligence of the community, it would have continued to operate as a hotel while not paying taxes or being the subject of oversight. While we were able to involve HHS to temporarily shut down the property, it was able to acquire a license and continue to operate within a few weeks. There was no consequence or cool down period after the owner was operating unregistered, and we can only guess at how many more residences in the county are also operating unlicensed because there's no organization responsible for identifying out of compliance properties. In our case, the owner does not live on site despite the current law saying it needs to be their primary residence. The definition in the law allows for this as long as the property is claimed as primary residence on the county's tax records, and therefore the owner lives elsewhere and has no idea what's going on with their guests or investment and its effect on the neighborhood. The law says the number of guests must be limited to 6 adults. However, by running multiple listings concurrently, the owner is renting many more than 6 beds at a time to adults. The listing also shows basement bedrooms with no egress windows. This is allowed to continue because even when the rules are written well, there is zero site inspection, oversight, or enforcement. The sum result is a wholesale failure of the current law and its intended purpose. The proposed law still contains much of the same wording. I live next to a party house. The condition of the structure is deteriorated. My kids aren't safe to ride their tricycles in the cul-de-sac anymore due to the traffic. Drug use in plain sight is a common occurrence. Sex workers are reported in the reviews for this Airbnb coming and going. And HHS has been powerless to do anything. Airbnbs only work for the actual residents of the county if the rules are written in a way that closes all the loopholes, keeps real estate investors and slumlords out, and provides some teeth in how it punishes those who would abuse the communities in which they operate. I encourage you to carefully discuss with DHCA each and every definition and clause put forth in the new law and how they will be applied. Many may be misinterpreted, pencil whipped, or otherwise unenforceable as they have been in the past. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wisaki. Next is Koala Apara. I'm sorry, Kula Apara. Yep.
Hello.
Hello, we see you, we hear you.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm at work right now. So I just wanted to step out and say thank you for allowing me to be here. I do have a rental that I use for Airbnb, and it has been just very helpful for me living in an area such as Tacoma Park. The DMV is very expensive. I am an excellent tenant, and I host only amazing people with great reviews. And if this bill were to pass, it would be very disempowering for renters such as myself who actually raise property value by beautifying apartments. I mean, the person who lived in the apartment before me, it was disgusting. I mean, when I moved in, when I did the walkthrough, there were actually drug needles on the ground. The carpet was horrible. I mean, it was just squalor. And I have really increased the value of the property just by being there, because people who use Airbnb, people who host on Airbnb, are a certain type of people who believe in cleanliness, who believe in community values. And for us to have certain rights taken away from us, it actually is not advantageous for the property owner. So it's best if you all can learn to work with us and allow us to be empowered as renters who are paying exorbitant rent already. You know, oftentimes rent payments are way more than a mortgage payment. So it would just be great if we could just continue to be empowered and trusted. We do not abuse properties at all. Those are the exceptions. Those are not the rules in terms of people who abuse Airbnb. That's very rare. It is a very tight-knit community. We reflect the founders' values, and we're awesome. Y también yo quiero decir para la gente hispanohablante que eso también es un apoyo para nuestra comunidad, porque podemos añadir a nuestros recursos financieros, y también es otra manera de ayudar a gente de diferentes países y también gente de nuestra propia comunidad que, por ejemplo, no tiene suficiente dinero para vivir en, hacer un down payment y first and last month solamente para vivir en un área por 2 o 3 meses. You know, and what I do is I do long-term Airbnb, so everyone has to be there for at least 2 weeks. So it's really a blessing.
Thank you for taking the time to provide that testimony. Thank you very much. Next is Holly Woodson.
Hello, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, council members, for the opportunity. I don't have a long story. I just have basic bullet points because I will concur with everything that Ms. Wilder said. I've lived in Montgomery County for over 25 years, and I actually have rented a unit not here in Rockville, but elsewhere. My guests they ran the gamut from just a Midwestern older couple who's traveling to Rockville to visit their grandchildren or their grandchild for the very first time, to traveling nurses, to military couples. I usually don't accept couples, but they both are in the military, so I'm fine with that. So of course this gives to our local economy, and for the people who are worried about some of us not knowing what's going on, I mean, of course I live on site, but I don't know if I'm going to live here forever. I'm from New York. I'm a natural born hustler, so that's what we do. I have the extra space. And so I welcome the people that come here. They have their separate entrance. I never see them, but I do see them on my camera, so I do know what's going on. And I'm also respectful of my neighbors, so they don't even park on our exact street. They park on the side street. And the only thing that I can think of is that this is coming from the hotel industry. And I just want to say that there is a piece of the rock for all of us. And that is it. And I did mention the local economy and being respectful to my neighbors. And I will give my time to whomever else that needs it. But thank you. And thank you, Ms. Wilder, for proving your point, our points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we'll hear from Jared Benjamin Hughes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jared Hughes, and I am a resident of Tacoma and at this location since 1998. I am in favor of allowing ADUs to have intermittent Airbnbs. Oftentimes, I prefer a long-term tenant, but I've also had wonderful experiences with short-term renters to whom I recommend local businesses and who patronize our, the local sites and eateries. And I am, I would lose a lot of income if I was not allowed to have a long-term renter, and then I have a month or so where I'm in between long-term renters. I should not be penalized for that, and I should be able to open my Airbnb back up and do intermittent renters. I live on site. I do not allow parties. I do not allow, it is a licensed Airbnb. It's a licensed ADU. We've taken great pains to make it comfortable and lovely, and I'm a super host on Airbnb because of that. I live above the unit. As I said, I pay taxes. Montgomery County is benefiting from all of that. The council should also consider allowing more than one ADU on a property because we happen to have a detached 3-car, 2-story garage, and we would like to be able to turn that into another ADU, which would, of course, provide housing for a teacher, a fireman, a policeman who couldn't afford to live in Tacoma Park otherwise. Currently, that's not allowed. You're only allowed one ADU, and it has to be attached. We would have preferred to have renovated the garage to allow for that, and we didn't because it wasn't allowed at the time. So I appreciate the council opening up ADUs. It should also allow detached and more than one. I think that's about it. If I wanted to allow a tenant to a long-term tenant to sublet or rent the one of the 2 rooms that are there, if they lose a job or whatever, I would rather not lose that tenant if they were a good tenant. And while they're in between jobs and needing the income of a tenant that maybe they didn't, several of the speakers had that situation. I would not want to lose that tenant and have them move out, but for the fact that Montgomery County doesn't allow them to have to rent out the second room of a 2-room Airbnb, a 2-room ADU rental. So I would encourage you all to allow for, with landlord permission, to allow long-term tenants to sublet a room or a room.
Thank you.
With all the safety precautions to allow that to happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hughes. Thank you for your testimony. Next is Jeffrey Kidwell. And Jeffrey Kidwell is not online. And the final testimony on this item is from Martin Wetzler.
Hi, Martin Wetzler here. I actually live in the city of Rockville. I have actually 2 properties in the city of Rockville. First and foremost, thank you for allowing me to speak today regarding short-term rentals in Montgomery County. The city of Rockville has their own legislation in short-term rentals. And we focus our attention in bringing short-term rentals to the medical community. In fact, that's when we actually purchased our second property. It was actually first, we bought it because of extended family or children coming back from college and needing a home. And at the end, they had other plans, and we ended up going with short-term rentals. Specifically, we started in the medical community. We hosted nurses, doctors, and we actually have a big yard, and we're one of the few landlords who allow pets in our facility or in our home. And we have a large backyard. And when nurses and doctors are not renting our homes, we actually have hosted to families and couples and single individuals who have come into Montgomery County, who came into the city of Rockville wanting to visit, and then later purchased real estate and actually moved into the Washington, D.C. region because they really love Montgomery County and the city of Rockville. We actually, to our guests, we actually we suggest that they see different landmarks in Montgomery County, get to know the history in Montgomery County, and so we try to be responsible landlords. We in the property that we dwell in, we've been considering constructing a second smaller home, like a unit, detached unit from our main house. And that was mainly for my wife's parents, as well as my father when they come to visit us, or as they're getting older, to have an opportunity to host them or to have them live with us. In the event that something happens or the plans change, we decide we want to use that smaller home, or if not our bigger home, as short-term rentals. We should be able to do this without an issue. Also, if I decide I want to rent, or if I decide to rent any of both of our properties to a rentee.
Wexler?
Yes.
Your time is up.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just think we should be able to have an opportunity to rent it out if we have to. If we have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for everyone's testimony. Councilmember Katz has a comment.
Thank you very much. I did want to note that the city of Rockville would not be under this ordinance, as would any municipality that has its own planning and zoning authority. So, though we're certainly always interested in hearing from every resident who lives in Montgomery County, the city of the municipalities with planning and zoning authority are not directly covered by this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you from the district council member. Very much appreciated. And again, a joint planning, housing and parks, health and human services, and economic development committee work session will be scheduled at a later date, and anyone else wishing to provide public comment for this item should do so before the close of business on June 22nd. There are no additional speakers for this item, so this public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Next is a public hearing on zoning text amendment 2304, residential uses, short-term residential rental. In accordance with Bill 2223, this ZTA will alter the provisions for short-term residential rentals by requiring the dwelling unit to be the property's owner, primary residence, limiting the number of overnight guests, and removing language for owner authorized agents. A joint planning, housing, parks, health and human services, and economic development committee work session will be scheduled at a later date, and persons wishing to submit material for the council's consideration must do so before the close of business on June 22nd. A number of individuals have already provided testimony for this item. There are no additional speakers, and this item is now closed. Next is a public hearing on Bill 2423, Airpark Community Advisory Committee established. This bill would establish an Airpark Community Advisory Committee, specify the membership, responsibilities, and staffing of the committee, and generally amend the laws regarding airports within the county and regarding an advisory committee concerning airports. Those wishing to submit testimony for the council's consideration must do so before the close of business on June 22nd. We have a number of individuals in person and virtual, and I'll invite the first four up at this time. Keith Miller, Chris Manella, Dale Tuttle, and Kevin Link. Rosemary, you'll be the second batch. We got you. We'll start with Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. For the record, Keith Miller, CEO of the Montgomery County Revenue Authority. The Montgomery County Revenue Authority has owned the Montgomery County Airpark since its opening in 1960. It currently operates the Airpark under a 99-year lease agreement. The MCRA supports Bill 2423 as it establishes a platform for residents to meet and discuss the impacts of the Airpark operations. However, we have a few items that we hope can be addressed before the legislation is finalized. We have discussed these items with Councilmember Lutke already. The legislation amends Chapter 42, which established the MCRA. This raises a few concerns regarding the FAA's grant assurances. Therefore, we suggest that any new committee be created separate and apart from the MCRA and from the MCRA's enabling authority. In order to preserve and protect the MCRA's authority over the Airpark, avoid placing the MCRA in a position of conflict of its grants agreement obligations, if the committee can be established under another part of the county code, it appears that the objectives of the bill can be successfully achieved without unnecessarily creating potential misunderstandings and disputes. If the committee is established under Chapter 42, the limitations of the committee's actions should be stated to avoid unintended appearance of authority to speak or act on behalf of the authority. Additionally, it raises concerns regarding any funding obligations needed for the committee, such as staffing and reimbursements. As you know, the MCRA is self-sustaining, a self-supporting quasi-governmental agency, and we do not receive any county funds for our operations. Therefore, there should be language added so it is clear that the county government is responsible for these items and obligations and not the MCRA. The intent of the legislation is to give a voice to residents and entities who are most impacted by the Airpark. Therefore, we recommend the following changes in the language regarding the members of the committee. Under item B, it lists 3 members nominated by other HOAs, civic associations, or community groups. The language is very broad, and by reading could be groups in any part of the county. We believe a radius around the Airpark should be added. Additionally, we believe it should include language to have equal representation from all sides of the Airpark. Under E, it lists 2 representatives of business owners in the county. Again, this language is broad, and we believe the language should be added to state business owners who use the Airpark or aviation-related businesses. In closing, we're happy to discuss these items further as the bill is finalized, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Next is Chris Manella.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Chris Manella. I live in the neighborhood called Cypress Run, which is directly east of the Airpark off Woodfield Road. I strongly support Bill 2423 to establish the Airpark Community Advisory Committee, and I'd like to thank Councilmember Lutke and her staff for their work on this bill and all their efforts to support the community and address the issues at the Airpark. The bill represents a great first step at improving Airpark operations and building a proper community engagement and representation. My family has been living within 6 miles of the Airpark for over 35 years. Historically, we viewed the Airpark as a real positive part of the community and have attended several community events that have been held there. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case, as flight operations have changed dramatically with the explosion of flight school traffic. Many pilots unnecessarily and consistently fly through the noise-sensitive, congested area as detailed on the Airpark's Pilot's Guide. As a result, they are significantly lower and more disruptive when they unnecessarily fly over homes as they are still climbing or banking in at full throttle. There is an enormous difference between the disturbance of climb power versus cruise power. These flights are not necessary because pilots could easily conduct southeast takeoffs over unpopulated space, fly out over the Ag Park, the Poke Tree Farm, and continue on over Rock Creek Park, still within the established traffic pattern. So there's no change by the FAA required. Pilots can, and occasionally do, fly over unpopulated space all the way out from the Airpark and back across Woodfield Road. So it's definitely possible because it happens today. In addition to being a nuisance to the community, the current flight school practice is unnecessarily unsafe. Most crash risks occur at takeoff and landings. These riskiest maneuvers are being conducted by the least experienced pilots. It also increases the exposure to harmful lead with the exhaust from the planes and directly impacts residents' mental health and quality of life. The high volume of traffic from the flight schools with its repetitive circling of the Airpark is literally terrorizing the communities. I'm not exaggerating. You can't be outside and have a conversation. You literally have to stop talking. No one should have to live like this. It's like living in a war movie. And most of all, Montgomery County residents should feel safe and secure within their homes. The bill provides a great catalyst for change. The advisory committee should aggressively pursue improvements with the FAA. However, some actions can be taken immediately to help mitigate the issue. Advisory committee must develop legitimate transparency into Airpark operations and establish a proper fly-friendly mentality and philosophy amongst the Airpark management and the Airpark users. Many general aviation airparks across the country make community engagement and noise abatement a top priority. You look at their websites, you look at their flight rules, it's almost 75% of their homepage. Noise abatement, we're within a community, you must fly friendly.
Mr. Manolo.
Finally,
your
sorry.
time is up.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, Mr. Tuttle.
Greetings. Thank you for the opportunity to support the establishment of the advisory committee. And I also strongly support the requirement for generating detailed information that was contained in the current language. I do, however, recommend that you specify the types of data that you're going to collect and require that be collected by operators at the Airpark. In particular, echoing the testimony you just heard, it's important to have information about the number of touch and goes. Touch and go operations are particularly disruptive. Now, by way of context, I've lived near the Airpark for over 25 years. For most of that time, the Airpark was at best an occasional nuisance. Something changed, and that changed around 2018 or so. I've personally flown and taken flight lessons from the Airpark, and I recognized what was going on. It seemed to me that training operations were becoming much more prevalent. However, the MCRA was unable to provide any concrete data on what was happening over at the Airpark, so we took it upon ourselves, a few of us in the community, to start tracking operations. So, to give you an idea of the scale of operations, the scale of training operations at the Airpark, in 2021, a few of us, over a 29-week period, we tracked every departure, every single departure for 29 weeks, focusing on a number of parameters, but in particular looking at touch and goes, how many were actually happening, because the MCRA wasn't able to do that for us. So we did confirm what the Vianair study, which you guys released about a year ago, June 2022, it's a training operation now. It's a training Airpark. That's what's happening there. That's the vast majority of operations are training related. But let's look at what we found just briefly, and then I can yield my time if there's any left. There are about 26,500 overflights of the local community. 26,500 in 29 weeks. If you take that out and extend that out for the year, that's about 48,000 overflights of the immediate area. That's a lot, okay? How many touch and goes were there? 14,500 in 29 weeks. That would extend, or that would, if we extended that for 52 weeks, that would be 26,000. What does that really mean? This is literally the case. Hundreds of overflights of homes and schools every day every single day. Now, this expansion in operations at the Airpark happened with no community notice, no opportunity for input, no environmental impact studies of any kind. The equivalent, or the metaphor I use, or the analogy I use, is the 2-lane road outside my house was expanded to be a 4-lane highway with no opportunity for input, no impact studies of any kind. We need this committee to be established to improve relations and hopefully mitigate some of these impacts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tuttle. Mr. Link.
Thank you for allowing us to talk about Bill 2423. Council President and Council members, my name is Kevin Link. I'm the president of the East Village Homes Corporation with almost 1,400 members. I'm a resident living near the Airpark. I've been living there for about 30 years. East Village is now a congested neighborhood, and as such, we should be entitled to the FAA's Fly Neighborly Act. We would like to request a new noise study to be performed, as well as to investigate the low-flying aircraft coming from the training school planes. In many cases, these planes fly well below 1,000 feet and are flying outside the flight path. The worst of these flights are from the touch-and-goes and touch-and-stop aircraft. East Villagers would like to see these planes to stop these activities. We would like the County Council to take responsibility and oversight for the GAI, while providing transparency and an open meeting participation. Another concern is in the recent consultants document with many good conditions to be improved for the airport. We would like to see this firm hired to negotiate and implement the items they have raised in the report for the betterment of the airport operations. We would like to request that the County Council create a master plan for the MC Airpark, as the last one is over 20 years old. The East Village Homes Corporation members would like to offer our services to participate in the process to join the renewed ALC committee to support and ensure the impact of community members are involved in a meaningful way early and often, so that these solutions involved can be brought to a valuable input. We appreciate the opportunity to speak today, and as you heard from these other gentlemen, you cannot talk outside. It's very, very noisy, and we really need your help. We really need the council to step up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony this afternoon. Councilmember Ludke has a comment.
Yes, I just wanted to thank everyone and to say thank you for raising the questions you have with our office or any amendments that we've discussed, and thank you, Mr. Miller, for talking through that. We are definitely supportive and have already sent some suggestions over to council to make sure that they get incorporated for our work session. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Now I'll invite the next 4 individuals in person to come on up. Mary Howell, Nancy Schenk, Rosemary Arcoyan, and William Rendaller. There we go. We'll start with Ms. Hall.
Hi. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Mary Hole. I have lived in the community near the Airpark for about 26 years. Sorry to say that, seems like it's gone quickly. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak today, today's hearing. I fully support Bill 2423, which would establish an Airpark Community Advisory Committee and encourage the County Council to pass the bill. We have lived at our house for 26 years, and we knew there was a local airpark close by when we bought the house. For years, we had limited impact from the airpark operations. However, starting around 2018, we began to notice an increase in airplane traffic over our house, which appears to coincide with increased training operations in the airpark. One type of training called touch and goes, which involves repeatedly circling the airport to practice takeoffs and landings, is the biggest problem and has caused the greatest impact on the community. Over the past several years, there have been many, many days when we've literally had hundreds of flights flying directly over our house at low altitudes due to the touch and goes. Often these flights pass overhead every 2 to 3 minutes for hours on end. Because of the noise from the touch and goes, we are not able to enjoy our outside and enjoy the property. And literally, we often cannot talk on the telephone or to friends when we're outside. My husband and I have worked with the Revenue Authority for several years to convey the community impacts of the training operations at the Airpark. We are looking for a way to work with the Revenue Authority, Airpark officials, training operators, and pilots to find a way to lessen the noise impacts of the training operations at the Airpark. Having the Airpark Community Advisory Committee will give the community this opportunity. I fully support Bill 2423 and encourage the County Council to pass the bill. Thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Ms. Schenk.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Shank, and I wanted to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you regarding passage of Bill 2423 to create an Airpark Community Advisory Committee. I have lived about 3 miles as the crow flies from the Montgomery County Airpark for the past 47 years and was an original member of the previous Airpark Liaison Committee. A bit of background. Back in the 1940s, the Congressional Airport was located on Route 355 near the intersection with Twinbrook Parkway in Rockville, basically across the street from where the new Wegmans complex is being built. You can imagine an airport there. And in the early 1950s, the county recognized that development was moving out towards Rockville and decided that the airport needed to be relocated. Property in the up-county area was mostly farmland and provided an opportunity for the Airpark to be built in its current location. The recreational pilots flying out of the new Montgomery County Airpark appreciated the wide open spaces over which to fly and had little to no restrictions. However, over the years, the county approved residential, education, and religious institutions, light industrial, government installations, and retail development that now exists around the Airpark and literally up to the end of the runway, basically taking over all of the wide open spaces over which the pilots used to fly. And the traffic at the Airpark has changed as well. Not only, no longer are there only recreational pilots, the Airpark has become the home to several flight schools, a charter jet service, helicopters, and many other companies serving the metropolitan area. The incredible increase of flights has disrupted the community with noise, dangerously low-flying aircraft, and other health and safety risks. And unfortunately, the community of residents, recreational pilots, businesses, and other stakeholders do not have the opportunity to work with each other and the Revenue Authority to openly and productively open up lines of communication. Having the ability to discuss issues and negotiate changes that would allow all parties to work cooperatively with transparency. And I believe that confirmation of Bill 2423 would allow this to happen. Many communities across the country have made progress in this area working with the local airport and the FAA, and we in Montgomery County can do the same. I would, however, make a couple of minor recommendations to the original bill, which I've had attached to my testimony for your consideration. It's my belief that it is the local government's responsibility to represent the communities they serve and to take seriously their concerns for their safety, their well-being, and quality of life. I'm more than happy to further discuss these issues with you, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Ms. Arkoyan.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Arkoyan, and I'm a proud resident of Goshen, though my mail address is Gaithersburg, Maryland. Thanks for allowing me to speak to you today. I am in favor, definitively, of reinstating the Airpark Liaison Committee, ALC, as soon as possible. I believe the ALC should have the same representation on the committee as before. No need for others. I'm only one of 2 original members on the ALC, Nancy Schenk being the other member. I believe the ALC accomplished a lot. It opened the lines of communication among the pilots, the Airpark management, and the citizenry. We found we actually had a lot in common with the pilots. The committee was abruptly disbanded in February 2021. I have a letter here from Marlene Michelson. Our term wasn't ending until June 30th, 2021. Why? No explanation was given. There's no cost to the county council to have this committee. We're all volunteers. We do it willingly. I believe it is the county council's duty to have the ALC. Don't renege on your duties. You have a duty to be concerned with the safety and quality of life of the citizens. We need transparency from the Airpark and from MCRA. Keep the lines of communication open. There are concerns regarding the noise, the lead pollution, the low-flying planes, the late hours, the many touch and goes, and the many flight schools. I hope Nancy Schenk and I will be put back on the ALC again. We have much institutional knowledge that we're willing to share with you all. I don't throw anything away, so I've got lots of info if anyone, wants it. Don't have the citizens call 311. Someone said that's what you were having them do. They need to call the ALC and the Airpark directly, or the county council. UCAB and county exec aren't the right places for the ALC. UCAB is just an advisory board, and so they don't have any power. And the Revenue Authority is a quasi-governmental. It's under the county exec, so that'll be like the fox guarding the hen house. So as much as maybe you don't want to do this, I really think it is your duty to reestablish it, and I really mean as soon as possible. There are many more. I mean, I'm not in favor of closing the Airpark, so open lines of communication, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you. And final testimony on this panel, Mr. Rainballer.
Good afternoon.
Your microphone, the
there we go.
button right there.
Good afternoon, President Class, council members. My name is William Reindaller. I'm a 30-plus year resident of Montgomery County. I've lived under the traffic pattern at Montgomery County Airpark my entire tenure here in Montgomery County. As aviation background, I'm a former Marine Corps pilot. I'm also an FAA commercial fixed wing and helicopter type certificated pilot. I am an aircraft owner based out of Montgomery County Airpark, and I fly about 200 hours a year. The average pilot in the United States flies about 35. So I'm a big user of the Airpark. I don't do touch and goes.
Thank you.
Just letting you know that. As part of the flying that I do, about 30% of the flight time that I spend is doing volunteer work for Patient Airlift Services, which is Angel Flight. And I also do a lot of pilots and paws rescues, bringing animals from kill shelters in the South up to northern rescue organizations. I wholeheartedly support this bill. I think it is long overdue. You've got to have community outreach. You've got to have representation by all members at the Airpark and the surrounding communities. And that's one change I would also respectfully suggest you do, is make sure you include HOAs around the Airpark. I do respectfully suggest the bill be amended to modify the committee composition. There is a flight school rep, but there are no pilot and aircraft owners on the committee. The flight schools do not represent pilots and aircraft owners that fly out of that Airpark. In fact, I am happy to share with any of your staffers how pilots and aircraft owners are interacting with some of those flight schools. They do not represent us. They are businesses, and they operate as a business with their bottom line and their flight school their flight school credentials and their flight school curriculum. We are much different. We are part of the community. We are sensitive to the needs of the community. As an experiment, after the aircraft crashed into the power lines, I joined the Nextdoor app, which, as you may know, is a very vocal community-based app. I did reach out privately to a couple of the citizens on there. We had some very good, constructive conversations. I can't say that changed their opinion, but we had good, constructive conversations. So that's proof, I think, that this will work but I encourage you to make sure you have pilot and aircraft owner representation. I'm happy to help in any way, shape, or form. I'm glad you're doing this, and I'm glad to work with my neighbors to make sure that we're good citizens. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you for that additional testimony and the consideration of the composition. Thank you all for your testimony, and Ms. Shank and Arkoyan, thank you for your service on this commission previously.
You're more than welcome.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. We have two people who are joining us virtually. The first is Karen Metchis.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. This is Karen Metchis. Thank you for this opportunity to testify concerning Bill 2423, Airpark Community Advisory Committee. As the climate assessment for this bill notes, it's well known that air travel contributes about 3% of all greenhouse gas emissions to the atmosphere. This is significant, and while appointment of an advisory board in itself won't affect emissions or noise, soil, or air pollution either, it's incumbent upon you to ensure that the advisory committee members that you appoint will take into account greenhouse gas emissions in their deliberations, not just the effects of airplanes on noise, air pollution, and soils. By the way, I want to note that as a member of the Climate Coalition of Montgomery County, I want to note that we have changed our names to underscore the fact that we advocate for action beyond what's in the Climate Action Plan. This bill is an example. While air travel was not in the CAP, our coalition urges vigilance on the part of everyone in the county, including members of advisory councils, to improve our odds of significantly reducing our greenhouse gas emissions and advancing resilience. I also want to mention that it's been a year since the climate assessment legislation was unanimously passed and signed into law in July of 2022, effective in October 2022. We have been reviewing OLO's climate assessments, and I want to particularly thank Caitlin Simmons, who has done due diligence on examining all the legislation for their climate impacts. And we look at it for this bill. We're also waiting to see a climate assessment from planning. We haven't seen one from them yet. We are becoming cognizant of some of the flaws in the process, and we'll be proposing with you, OLO, and planning to refine and improve the ability of the climate community to provide input into the assessments. Thank you for considering our edits today on Bill 2423 as submitted in writing, which include: 1, adding a 9th member representing the local environmental and public health community; 2, adding to the community's duties to also advise on environmental impacts; and 3, including in the annual report data on fuel use and estimated greenhouse gas emissions from flight operations. These changes will ensure that the council and the executive are fully cognizant of the contribution of county operations to climate change, emissions, and impacts. Thank you again for allowing me to testify today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Metchis, for joining us. And they have one person left, and that's Shazid Mohammed, but I'm not sure that Shazid Mohammed is. Oh, you are in person. They were looking for you virtually, but you've been here all the time. You were wondering when we were going to call you.
All right, so okay, so good afternoon, council member. I appreciate it. Thank you for hearing my testimony. And this is really to serve as an impact statement as an affected resident. So my name is Shazad Muhammad. I've been a resident of Montgomery County for the last 12 years. And 1 year ago, my wife and I became Mill Creek Town community members by purchasing our first home. So while we understood that there was an airport nearby, we were unaware of the extensive flight activity associated with the flight school at the Airpark. Now, this is especially problematic for my wife and I, among other reasons, of purchasing the house. One major reason was to work from home. And because we work from home for most of the week, we are affected by small prop planes that circle the perimeter of our neighborhood for 8 to 12 hours a day. It is maddening, to say the least. And so much so that this week I have contractors at home dense packing our walls with cellulose, re-insulating our attics, and installing soundproof windows to dampen the noise that we hear from the Airpark. This is a very expensive renovation, and one that I'm imagining the county is not going to pay for. So the Airpark training exercises are costing residents more than just their peace and quiet. As I mentioned, it is also affecting our bank accounts. So if a compromise can't be reached, new residents as myself, I don't foresee us staying around as long as the other residents who've been here prior to me, 20, 30 plus years. So I see this as a long-term issue, especially for the newer generations that are moving in while the older generations are moving out. So also considering the fact that the home prices are increasingly more expensive than they were, when the community was established, it just doesn't seem like something that's going to be feasible for my family, and I don't see myself sacrificing our safety and well-being for the Airpark. So 3 things that I'm requesting from the committee is, 1, to work with the MCRA to establish a more current FAA noise survey. Also looking at opportunities to subsidize any soundproofing that the community could benefit from. So whether it is, as I mentioned, soundproofing windows, or also looking at ways to insulate the home. And then finally, looking at an opportunity to establish new operating hours. I'm proposing that the training planes operate 5 days a week from 8 to 5 and from 8 a.m. to noon on Sundays, and no exercises on Sundays and holidays. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed, for that testimony and for sticking around. I didn't say it at the beginning, but the T&E committee will have a work session on this on June 29th. So we thank all of your testimony this afternoon. And again, if anyone has additional testimony they would like to provide for our consideration, they must do so before the close of business on June 22nd. And with that, this public hearing is now closed. Thank you. Next item is a public hearing on an amendment to the FY23 to 28 Capital Improvements Program and supplemental appropriations to the FY23 capital budget, Montgomery County Public Schools, technology modernization in the amount of $623,758. The source is federal aid, and action is scheduled immediately after the close of this public hearing. We have 2 people who will be joining us. One of them is in person, Richard Zerdick. And Mr. Zert, right in front of the microphone, over to your right, further below. Yep, there you go.
How's that? Does that work?
That's
okay.
Perfect. We
Hi,
hear you.
folks. Yeah, Richard Zert here. I'm a resident of North Bethesda. My idea, the prepayment of property taxes, really doesn't go under this item. And I'm going to treat this as sort of a quick meet and greet, just to let you know I'm out here. You have my written testimony. I've written you twice now via email. And I thank Councilmember Joando for connecting me with the GO Committee Chair, Councilmember Stewart, and also the Director of Finance, Michael, is it Coveview? Yeah, so there's been a couple of emails going back and forth. And I think the way to proceed with this is through the GO Committee, if they'll consider it in their proceedings. And if I could attend their work sessions, that would, if possible. I think it would just be best if I go through that rather than kill your time here.
Okay.
So I'm
thank you for
yeah.
for your stick-to-itiveness and for joining us this afternoon.
Sure.
We have one other person who will be joining us virtually, and that is Theodorus Garado.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great, thanks. So I would like to recommend our organization, Environmental Health Trust, with whom I am executive director, recommends that the money spent for school technology be on safer wired, not wireless technology. That's because hundreds of scientists are calling for caution regarding Wi-Fi and wireless smart devices due to the hard-to-swallow reality that wireless radiation is linked to not only cancer, but damage to the brain, endocrine system, reproductive organs, and a whole host of neurological and biochemical changes. The majority of studies shows harm, even at very low levels. That is a fact, despite what messaging you might hear. And we have on Environmental Health Trust information on that if you're interested. And I also am going to be sending testimony with documentation of various endpoints and looking at the studies and the amounts and so forth. So I would ask that you think about the times in our history where truth was pushed away because it was inconvenient, just hard to believe, or threatened the status quo related to the power structure at the time. And we're really in that moment with wireless technology. So the U.S. government limits that the FCC has for what is allowed in terms of what children are allowed to be exposed to in schools, they were set in 1996. They're based on small animal studies that were done in the 70s and 80s, back when cell phones looked like this, when kids were certainly not using phones, when there was no Wi-Fi or wireless devices on children's laps. There were not classrooms filled with wireless technology. And those studies were only for 60 minutes or less. They were intense microwave exposures. They were set then and have not changed since. Every study that shows harm has been attacked by groups that are funded or affiliated by industry. And that's been for decades. The EPA, CDC, FDA, NCI, World Health Organization, they have not scientifically reviewed all of the research on wireless and certainly not on children's vulnerability. There is no report by these agencies that's looked at the totality of up-to-date science. It simply does not exist. This is an example of where the scandal in our government is not what is illegal, but what is perfectly legal. As you know, our organization sued the FCC in regards to these outdated limits, and we won in regards to the agency's lack of proper review of the evidence before them. The U.S. Court of Appeals found the FCC record evidence related to children's vulnerability, and it's been nearly 2 years, and they still have not responded to the court mandate to show how FCC limits are protective. So I hope that you'll act to mitigate wireless radiation in the school setting as a primary prevention to support children's health and well-being. This is your moment to stand up for children. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no additional speakers for this item, so this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to move this item? Moved by Councilmember Jawando, seconded by Councilmember Albornoz. All those in support, raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation to the FY23 operating budget, Montgomery County Public Schools, Title I, Part A grant in the amount of $2,863,919. The source are state grants. Action is scheduled immediately after the closing of this public hearing. There are no speakers for this public hearing, and this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion? Moved by Councilmember Jawando, seconded by Councilmember Albornoz. All those in support? That is unanimous. Okay. Next is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation to the county government's FY23 operating budget, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service, FY23 Senator Amros Fire Rescue and Ambulance State Fund, a grant in the amount of $1,890,475. The source of fund are state grants. Action is scheduled immediately after the close of this public hearing. There are no speakers for this public hearing, and this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion? Moved by Councilmember Katz, seconded by Councilmember Lutke. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Next item is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation to the county government's FY23 operating budget for the Department of Health and Human Services Emergency Rental Assistance Program 2 in the amount of $6 million. The source of funds are state grants. Action is scheduled immediately after the close of this public hearing. There are no speakers for this public hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion? Moved by Vice President Friedson, seconded by Councilmember Sales. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Excuse me. Next item is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation to the county government's FY23 operating budget for the Department of Technology and Enterprise Business Solution, TEBS, Montgomery County Connects Digital Equity Broadband Grants in the amount of $6,771,332. The source of funds are state grants and federal grants. Action is scheduled immediately after the close of this public hearing. We have no additional speakers at this time. So this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion? Moved by Councilmember Stewart, seconded by Councilmember Balcom. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Next is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation number 23-106 to the county government's FY23 operating budget for the Department of Health and Human Services for implementing Ending the HIV Epidemic Grant in the amount of $967,349. The source of funds are state grants. Action is scheduled immediately after the close of this public hearing, and there are no speakers for this public hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilmember Sales, seconded by Councilmember Lutke. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. And the last public hearing before other business is a public hearing on a supplemental appropriation 23-107 to the FY23 operating budget Montgomery County government for the Department of Health and Human Services, Ending the HIV Epidemic in Sexually Transmitted Disease Clinics grant in the amount of $450,000, and the source of funds are state grants. Action is scheduled immediately after the close of this public hearing. There are no speakers for this public hearing, so this public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lutke, seconded by Vice President Friedson. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Okay. So, thank you for all of that, all those public hearings and conversation. We appreciate everybody who spends their time communicating directly with us here at the council. And now we're going to continue our conversations with a number of individuals who have expressed interest in serving on the Housing Opportunities Commission. And so I would like to bring up Jeffrey Merkowitz, Linda Kroom, and Robert Solomon to the table. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and again for your interest and the Sousa marches as well from the dais. Your interest in serving on the Housing Opportunities Commission is a really important one. HOC was established in 1974 to better respond to the county's growing need to accommodate more affordable housing. And the scope and the mission and the budget of HOC has grown tremendously since then, which is why we're always looking for more residents to help us help make our community more affordable and stable and welcoming to everybody around the world. So thank you all again for putting your names forward. I have a number of questions, and I know my colleagues will ask some questions as well. And so first we'll start with Ms. Kroom, and then we'll go down. Ms. Kroom, why do you want to be a member, or generally continue to be a member of the Housing Opportunities Commission, and how do you feel that your career in particular would be helpful in serving as a commissioner? And if you want to turn your microphone on underneath, right underneath there. There you go.
Is it on?
It is on.
Yeah,
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you for having us. My name is Linda Kroom, and I'm currently a HOC commissioner now. And I've served on the boards for about 5 to 6 years, I think. And I am a long-standing educator. I work for Montgomery County Schools. And I care deeply about our residents and their well-being and their outcomes. One of the reasons why I want to continue to be a commissioner is I'm great with residents. Many of the residents come to me and give me feedback, and they ask questions about what's going on. And what I do is I try to answer them as best I can. But if I can't get the answer, I know my colleagues will help me out with that answer of anything that the residents do ask me. I also I have a lot of respect for our residents and their well-being. At the end of the day, the residents is what I think about, is what I care about, because I know that I am their voice, because I am also a resident. So I am the voice of the HOC as far as they're concerned. So anything that they need or they ask me, I'm always there to try to give them that answer.
Thank you very much. Mr. Merkowitz.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to interview and continue as an HOC commissioner, and as well as thank the county executive for nominating me. I'd also like to say it's nice to appear here in person for a change. I was first nominated to fill an open term in 2020 at the very beginning of the pandemic, so my hearing at that time was virtual, so it's nice to be here in person. Also want to express my appreciation both as a commissioner and as a constituent for the council's strong support of HOC, including through tools such as the Housing Production Fund, and its general support of affordable housing broadly. My reasons for wanting to continue as a commissioner have to do with my lifelong interest in issues of housing and poverty, especially homelessness. And these are the issues that I've made the focus of my career. I'm currently a senior advisor at the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, CDFI Fund, at the U.S. Department of Treasury, which among its programs focuses on community development, obviously, but that includes affordable housing. Prior to that, I handled housing issues for Senator Barbara Boxer in the U.S. Senate. I led her response to the foreclosure crisis, as well as the longstanding affordable housing crisis in California, and led successful efforts in the Senate to get the Federal Housing Finance Agency to fund the Housing Trust Fund and the Capital Magnet Fund, which are large tools for funding affordable housing nationally. I also worked previously for a CDFI out in California that was engaged in financing affordable housing development and small businesses. And I'll just also add that, although most of my experience has been at the national level, having grown up in Maryland and having lived in Montgomery County for nearly 16 years now, I've appreciated the opportunity to apply my knowledge and expertise to the community in which I live. During my time as commissioner, I've helped HOC navigate the COVID pandemic, expand its holdings of both naturally occurring and newly developed affordable housing in areas of opportunity, and hire a new executive director while also pushing for deeper affordability and high levels of service for our residents. I serve on both the Development and Finance Committee as well as the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee, and I was recently honored to be elected Chair Pro Tem by my fellow commissioners.
Thank you. Mr. Solomon.
I appreciate your time and your commitment to the county. It's my first appearance before the council, so this is fun for me. I've spent most of my career in the development business of affordable housing, almost exclusively affordable housing, first as a consultant, but mostly as a developer. I've worked around the country, generally in preservation transactions, preserving affordability, or taking a project that does not have legal affordability and making it have legal affordability requirements. We seem to specialize in very, very troubled properties around the country and working with HUD offices who are moving out developers who are struggling or not, frankly, doing a good job and taking on those properties. I've never worked in my career in Maryland or Montgomery County, but I have worked in New York, California, Kentucky, Puerto Rico, so on and so forth. And so I've had a lot of experience dealing with housing authorities, housing departments, state agencies, local agencies, and have had some experience in what does work and what doesn't work. And I'm hoping, if I'm approved, to bring some of that expertise to the HOC and hopefully contribute to preserving and expanding affordability. There is a housing crisis, no great secret. I think even Congress recognizes it. And so with any luck, we can improve affordability for many low and middle income families. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Before I ask the second question, I want to acknowledge the HOC team. Thank you for being here and for everything that you all have been doing. We've been seeing a lot of you lately, which is a good thing. So, next question, we'll start with Mr. Merkowitz. What do you see as the important issues facing the Commission over the next 3 to 5 years, and what new initiatives would you like HOC to undertake during the next term?
Yeah. Well, I think the most important issues facing the Commission over the next several years.
Your microphone, sir.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. I think the most important issues facing the Commission over the next several years and really into the foreseeable future continues to be expanding the supply of affordable housing in the county and providing the space, opportunity, and services for our residents to thrive. To that end, HOC is at the beginning the process of developing a new strategic plan. We will be seeking external input for that plan, including from the council, so we'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, as part of this effort, I've requested that we conduct an analysis of our portfolio to identify in greater specificity who we are serving and where, and the extent to which we are meeting the affordable housing needs of the county in terms of geography served, unit sizes, age and ability, income, etc. So my goal is really to ensure that we are getting the most units at the deepest levels of affordability as possible, and with a particular emphasis on preserving and expanding the availability of housing affordable to extremely low incomes, that is at 30% AMI or below. This population obviously requires additional subsidy to serve, but it is where there is the greatest shortage of affordable housing. According to the National Low Income Housing Committee, Council, in 2021 there were only 30 affordable and available rental units per 100 extremely low income households in all of Maryland. In the DC metro area, that number was 28, 27. I think the planning department conducted a needs assessment in Montgomery County, found that there was a shortfall of over 23,000 units for extremely low-income households in Montgomery County. I'll note that these numbers have gotten worse since the last time I appeared before the council, and the numbers are also reflected in the waiting list at HOC, which is around 37,000, I believe. So, location and access to services are also major considerations for me. Transit-oriented development is critical for residents to provide access to jobs and services. So is location in terms of proximity to high-performing schools and other areas of opportunities. So these are the areas that I hope to focus on.
Thank you. Mr. Solomon? Your microphone.
Seems to be a pattern here. I'll be candid with you. I've worked in many, many jurisdictions around the country. I've not worked in Montgomery County. I can tell you from my experience that jurisdictions have more success when the housing department of the locality or the state works hand in glove with the housing authority. It's there are limited federal resources, not counting the pandemic. Congress's top priority is usually not housing appropriations. It's hard enough when jurisdictions fight within themselves. The results are predictable, and so it's terribly important for HOC and the county exec and county executives' offices and the council to work together. It's hard enough to do transactions to bring affordability to a high cost area, and so it's very, very important to coordinate. To your specific question, I'm new to HOC, so I'm looking forward to learning and hopefully offering something constructive with any luck.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Krum.
I did it right. Mine's is short and sweet. Basically, I'm looking at we need more resources to get people off the waiting list. Our waiting list is high. Specifically, I would like to see the housing wait list go down perhaps a third over the next 3 to 5 years. Short and sweet, guys.
I love it. Top priority. Next question, we'll start with you, Mr. Solomon. As a commissioner, how would you review HOC's capacities in areas like consumer service, building management, particularly in buildings that house seniors and other vulnerable populations?
You know, I found as an owner, the development side of things is very fun. It's exciting. The management side is boring, but the properties fail with bad management. You can do a nice development, and if the management isn't up to snuff, the project fails. I found with my own properties, I do two things. I will announce that I'm coming on a certain day. If the property isn't up to snuff when I've announced it, it's time to get rid of the management. More often than not, I'll show up unannounced. But you know, if you announce you're coming and they can't get it together, then there's a real problem. Showing up unannounced means the staff knows, if they're any good, that you could show up at any time. And that's terribly important, that they know that the owners or the government agency involved knows that you might show up at any time. Senior property or family property, special needs. And then you sit down and talk with the residents without any of the site staff around and see what's on their minds. And I found that to be terribly effective. Very effective, very important to show up. Somebody said, who we don't need to mention his name, that 90% of life is showing up. And it's true. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you for showing up today. Ms. Krum.
I would like, I know HOC currently has we currently have our annual inspection, but I would love to see an additional touch point, especially for the seniors, to ensure their wellness and maintenance check. I'm a personal advocate for seniors because I go out and I take them to the stores, you know, free of charge. This is on my time. I take them to grocery stores and everything. And I can tell you, they have very, very high hopes, and they have good things to tell me about HOC. But, you know, sometimes you just want to add an extra touch, especially for the seniors, you know, just to check, make sure. There's nothing wrong with someone coming once a month to maybe check, make sure everything is okay with them. you know, if you need anything. Because a lot of times they're not going to say anything. But this is where we come in, and we have to say something.
Thank you. Mr. Markowitz.
Yeah, I think, you know, as a commission, I think we all recognize that, you know, HOC is more than just the buildings, and it's really about, you know, the residents and the people that occupy those buildings. And so, you know, there is a strong focus by, I think, each of the commissioners, and the voice of Commissioner Kroom is especially important in that, in making sure that, you know, we are providing strong customer service and building management. And I'll give a couple of examples on that. So, you know, the commission recently voted to move forward with a new headquarters in downtown Silver Spring. A major part of that new headquarters will include space for a down county service center, so accessible to all of our down county customers. You know, we recently had this week the grand opening for the Laureate. I want to thank Commissioner Friedson and Commissioner Lutke for being part of that. That will also include space for a new up-county customer service center. So, you know, major focus on our new developments, making sure that we're providing that service. Additionally, you know, I think at the commissioner's request, the staff recently conducted an exercise with the commission to develop new evaluation metrics for our procurement and agreement for property management. And as part of that, you know, beyond basic qualifications for selecting property managers, the commissioners placed a really high emphasis on both the experience of our residents and the uniqueness of each property. So, for example, the commissioners indicated that, you know, when responding to a request for procurement, potential property managers should submit plans that are relevant to the specific property, not one size fits all. So if the property is a senior property, the plan needs to be responsive to issues at senior properties.
Thank you. I have just two more questions, and then I'll turn it over to colleagues. And we'll start with Ms. Kroom with this one. Very, very simple. Will you be able to continue to make the time commitments that the commission will require?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Mr. Markowitz?
My wife sometimes wishes I wouldn't, but yes, I will.
Refrain we hear up here as well. Mr. Solomon?
And I will have enough time to commit.
Very good. And then last question from me, Mr. Markowitz. Are there any potential conflicts of interest of which we should be aware?
No.
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 Fantastic. Thank you. I will turn it over to Vice President Friedson for a question.
Thank you. More of a comment than a question. First of all, thank you so much to our two commissioners up for reappointment. I just wanted to thank you for your service and also for the partnership and the innovative approaches to affordable housing that we've been able to forge ahead together. HOC has really been on the precipice of a change in the way that we approach affordable housing in Montgomery County. Unique, I think, to many local jurisdictions where the Public Housing Authority is actually making a meaningful and noticeable difference if you look at the aggregate data of addressing new housing units being created and the work that we're now undertaking together to try to address the preservation side of things and move forward as well. It was exciting to be at the Laureate, as you mentioned, Mr. Markowitz, to look at the first project under the Housing Production Fund. Look forward to the next and the ones to come after that. And also wanted to note the Leggett, another innovative project with the South County Aquatic Center and Recreation Center and the Senior Affordable Housing project there. Those are not easy projects to have done. Major partnerships, public, private sector, county government, and HOC working together. All of you noted those partnerships being so necessary, and I did want to note the leadership at HOC and working together with the council and with the executive branch. I think the relationship is as good as it has been since I have been around and paying attention and noticing, and it very much is appreciated and has, I think, borne quite a bit of progress and also national attention for the work that the Housing Opportunities Commission is doing. And Mr. Salomon, while new to HOC, should you move forward in this role, which I'm enthusiastic about, not new to the community or to affordable housing, certainly familiar with all of your leadership with community bridges and recently with Riverworks and with a number of other local organizations, Glen Echo Park and others. And I really appreciate all of your community involvement and bringing that local community involvement along with your in-depth understanding of affordable housing projects throughout the country. I think will be a really great add in addition to an already very strong board. I will just note you have massive shoes that you are filling. They may appear like they are small shoes because she is a diminutive woman, but those shoes have walked many miles in this county and have done a tremendous amount of work, and I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Jackie Simon for all of her work and her tremendous leadership, and look forward to opportunities to more publicly and more formally recognize her incredible legacy of service. And I just want to note for colleagues, when I saw her the other day, she told me that she was ready to be put to work, that she's off HOC, but she's not retiring anytime soon, and we are working together on a number of initiatives to make sure that we take her up on that so we can continue to benefit from her great service. So with that, thank you to each of you. Thank you to her for the legacy that she has provided and the position that she's put this organization in, and I very much look forward to supporting all of your candidacies moving forward. And thank the county executive for moving all three of you forward.
Thank you, Vice President Friedson, for those comments. I happened to see Jackie Simon just a few weeks ago at an MHP event, so maybe she's already moving on to another affordable housing organization here in the community. But everything that you said is spot on. Thank you for putting yourselves forward. We appreciate the county executive for these nominations, and of course to staff and leadership for all that you'll continue to do. Action on this is scheduled for June 20th. So not too far, so that everybody can get to work and continue working. And so with that, thank you very much, and have yourselves a good afternoon. And colleague, pardon me?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. And colleagues, with that, I wish you a good afternoon as well, and we are in recess, or we're adjourned. Sorry.
Transportation Management Centers, travel